Let me see. Let me see what's going on here. Okay. Hi, everyone. This is Cassandra Williamson. I'm coming to you just a few minutes late. I do appreciate you holding on and bearing with me. Uh, this has been a long day in the hills of eastern Kentucky. Oh, yeah. So I left from here noonish and went to Walmart and had an order I needed to pick up. There's several actually. I deliver a bunch of them. So I mean, I love getting out though. That's the thing. Even when I don't have to get out, I still like getting out. But anyway, so I picked up my orders, and the first thing I did, I'm going to just kind of see if I can pull up a map on the other side over here somewhere and show you kind of where I went today. Oh my gosh. It's very interesting to me, the people you meet and the things that you encounter and see. And I'm looking for Google Maps. Where'd it go? Okay, no, not that. Google Maps. So anyway, yeah, there's been a lot of stuff going on, but the thing that I'm learning, the thing that I'm doing is I acknowledge that all these things are going on, and admit that that's the case, you know. So yeah, let me see if I can find where we are. And here, more recent history. Okay. So I'm going to show you on a map what I'm talking about here. Now I'll just kind of scroll into all of this stuff, okay? Whoops, wait a minute. And so here we go. Here we go. So I'm going to pull up this map and just show you some things of where I have been recently. And this is the way I actually get out and meet people and see things and see some strange things, but nonetheless, you know, cool. It's cool. So I want to share something here. I also want to do one other thing. I've got to do, I'm going to add a scene. Okay. I'm going to add media here. And I've got to find my other two children, because I mentioned two of them today on on my daytime show. And let me see if I can put this up here. Find my daughter and my son. This one. And then we're going to scroll down to my son and this one. I'm going to open those. All right. So just hang in there. There's a lot that we could be talking about, but I will get into all these different things as we go along. Okay. Because I guess the biggest part of what I'm trying to do here is just show you the humanity of people in the middle of this country, flyover country, who are actually good, decent people. You can have conversations with them, and everything is just fine. Now they may not necessarily agree with everything that I am or who I am or anything like that, but not once does that enter into the conversation. People just basically want to let people live and let live kind of attitude. And that's what I find so invigorating and so powerful. For that to be from Appalachia, for that to be from this place in Appalachia, it's just kind of really awesome, you know? Really is. Good people. Good people. Most of them are related to me, but you know, that's everyone around here is just about related. And that's no lie. That's exactly what it is. So I want to see if I can add another scene. I've got to put up two more pictures here as I go into this. And image, I'm going to bring them from the computer and do that. And I'll pull up the map in just a minute too, because I'm going to show you where I'm today and where I am right now and where I've been. And you can see different places. I mean, anyway, I'll show you when I get to the map. Okay. Let me pull up some pictures. Where's my desktop pictures? Okay, here we go. This is just going to be a little fun entertainment kind of thing, kind of show you some things. And family. And let me see. All right. Oh, I need to get Natasha in all these too. That's one. And let me go see. Find another picture of one of my other daughters. Oh, here. That'll work. And that one. And that one. Okay. Now, let's pick while the pictures are loading. I'll pull up this map. Connection was lost. Well, how you like that? There they go. Okay. Back to this. All right. Let me share screen. And I'm going to go to a map because I want to show you where I've been recently. And I say recently because when you see the map, I'm going to tell you a little bit more about it. Window, map, share. All right. So on this map, you're looking at places I was at today. Well, not all of it. A lot of it in the last couple of days. Okay. So I'm going to take the map and kind of blow it up. This is over here where I'm at, over here in Eastern Kentucky. You can see my little cursor going there. And I'm going to kind of increase the size and pull it in closer. And kind of scroll this thing over and head for Pike County. Okay, so here we go. Here is where what I do is right here. And I've been telling you for a while that this is where I'm located. So in the middle of all of this, you can see where the little red pins are there. Those are places where I actually went doing things, is meeting people. And it's kind of fascinating. I live in this little area called Hardy right here. There's a road off the side that goes up inside this little place there, and it's a holler. Yeah, it's a holler. It's right in this area. And I went to school here in Belfry. I graduated Belfry High School. It's not a high school anymore. It's a middle school. And here's Williamson. That's in West Virginia. That's all West Virginia over here. Chatteroy, Dale Barton, Williamson, Red Jacket. That's all West Virginia. And down here, go on up into this, you go over to Virginia. And right here, here's Hardy. Over here is Virginia, West Virginia. I mean, this is where I was at the other day. Yesterday, I went to a place called Popple. And right here it is, folks, right here. I was in Popple, which is right on the border of Virginia. So, been all over the place here. And I meet a person I met there, a wonderful lady in this big old house. Needed some stuff. She wanted it brought over, and we had a good conversation, just talking and getting to know each other just a little bit before I drop stuff off. And I like to do that to get to see them if people actually want to meet. And it's very helpful to do all these things. And this whole region right here, this is Appalachia. This is deep red Appalachia. I know that most people, and literally most people, voted for Trump here. I didn't. But they did. That's fine. I got no problem with that. That's what they wanted. And I'm good with what they want. That's perfectly all right with me. I'm glad that they have choices and options, and that's what they chose. And the biggest reason they chose that, though, is what I heard today from a person down in, let me go on over, and I'm going to show you some other things here. Okay, right there's the Randall McCoy house. That's in Hardy, okay? That's Hatfield McCoy feud stuff. It's all in this area. There's all kinds of trails through here. ATV trails go all over this place. I mean, in Kentucky and West Virginia, and I'm pretty sure it goes into Virginia too, but certain of it. This is the big area, Hatfield McCoy feud, where they were fighting over, actually it was over the Civil War. One was Northern, one was Southern, and then it became over a pig and a girl because the families didn't want their kids intermarrying with those Confederates and Northerners. Yeah. and it took, 60 years to get over all that? Almost 55 years. It took 55 years 50 to 55 years. A lot of people lost their lives. Some people were hung over some of this stuff, burning other people down, shooting stuff up. I mean, that's where I'm from. So I grew up at Forest Hills, right there. You've heard me talk about that on some of my other little programs in Forest Hills. And then, yeah, so Williamson spent a lot of time down there. It's named for family. Family owned a lot of land in all this area, this whole Turkey Creek area, Williamson, the Forest Hills. I mean, they owned every bit of it. And then when they started selling off stuff, they only sold the top. They kept the minerals themselves. And created this town in 1895 because the railroad was going through there. And then it's still a county seat for Mingo County. But anyway, today, though, I had a little route that took me over to right here at 136th Division Hill. Actually, I was over here in Canada, all the way up into over in here. And then that was a drop off right there. And then another one right here at 11390 Big Creek Road. And then go on down and go down 292 into Martin County, Kentucky. I had a delivery way down through here. And then my last one was up in here, let me see, somewhere right in here, right in there where my little thing's at. That's where I was. My final one, and the person I met right there, we talked for a little bit. I mean, he told me his name. His name's Hensley. And that's where Tipple Road in Martin County, Kentucky is right in this area here. It comes right off that road and into this area. And I had one place right there. And there's an old building that could have been at one time a kind of a company building. And they call it Tipple Road, but I didn't see any other evidence for a coal preparation plant. They called it a Tipple right there. Okay. So that's where I've been most of the day today, all over this place. And then I came back out and went up through Kermit, named for Teddy Roosevelt's son, Kermit Roosevelt. And then I'm all the way up through here and back home just in time, 10 minutes to spare before the show goes on the air today. And here we are. I got home just in time, though. I had to go warm up I put some tomatoes and corn okra blend on the stove, and I'd already been cooking some barbecued ribs, and oh my God, they're just so good. They've been on for about 3 hours, roughly, maybe 4 now, and they were really, really good. I mean, I'm salivating thinking about it. I got to get me some when this show goes off. So that's where I've been today. That's what I've been doing. I'm going to stop sharing that and then say hi to everybody. There we are. And if I didn't tell you all the way up front with all this stuff, this is Cassandra Williamson coming to you from Hardy, Kentucky, in Pike County, right along where that map was at, where you saw all that stuff. That's where I'm at. That's where I'm located. And there's a lot of stuff going on around here. The person that I met, by the way, I had actually at one of the stores down there before I got to Tipple Road in Martin County. There's a place called Warfield's, and there's a little convenience store there. I stopped in. The maps weren't working, so I had to stop in and ask for directions. And they sent me on a wild goose chase all the way back up, and then another holler, and turns out that wasn't it. It was all the way back down. But I mean, I stopped in a little restaurant up in Wolf Creek, and near Lovely, Kentucky, which is on that 292 I told you about. I stopped in a little restaurant up in there, and it turns out that we're all family. I told them that. I said, look, we're all family. We're all laughing and carrying on and everything and having a good old time there in that restaurant. There was nobody else there, just to look like the 2 people owned it and one person helping in the kitchen, or maybe they all owned it. I don't know, but we're all related somehow or the other, because my mom was born up in there in 1938. But anyway, so that's what I've been doing today, and engaging with people. I met the person up on Tipple Road, talked with them, Mr. Hensley, and I asked him his name, and I told him mine. And, just carry on a conversation. We don't have something, we're not trying to do anything, say anything, change anybody's mind, or overpower them with who I am. No, 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 no. Just carry on a conversation with all of these people. That's what was happening in the restaurant. That's what happened in the convenience store. Guy liked my little car though at the convenience store. We had a good conversation there too. I mean, but he's the one that got the convenience store. This person told me, said, now all the coal mines around here are shut down because of the previous administration. And, that's true. But there's more to it than that, because here's what has happened in this area. And it goes back probably 100 years. Every time an administration would change that somebody who owned those businesses didn't like, who was in the White House, they would start laying off people during that person's tenure in the White House, start making life hard for the people. And then what they were doing was they were building this psychological thing up for the people in this region, that every time somebody that the bosses didn't like was in the White House, lo and behold, they got laid off. But it was actually the businesses deciding to do it because they didn't want the person in the White House. And they could afford to deal with that. And the people doing the working and stuff, no, they couldn't. So the workers were associating the people in the White House with the people they didn't want in power because they got fired or laid off. And every few years, this would happen here. And that's what happened under the Biden administration, except that there were a lot of things about the climate and coal and dirty coal and trying to make clean coal, get it all cleaned up, stuff like that. But see, the coal basically has been mined out around here for the biggest part of it. And what's left are, as the gentleman told me down in Moorfield today at that convenience store, was that the coal is so deep now that we could use that it's not worth it to go down that far to get it. And so what we have is very few coal mines and preparation plants that clean it all up and sell it to the power plants, stuff like that. We've got very few of those things around here. There are some, but my gosh, nowhere near as many as when I was here in the 70s and 60s and 70s. I mean, it's changed a lot in that sense. The biggest industry today in this area is ATV riding. The trails, the Hatfield McCoy Trail System. People go out and ride on those trails all the time. They actually book up the cabins and stuff a year in advance to come here in these mountains and run the ridges. And I haven't been on an ATV. I haven't been on those ridges, but I know that it's got to be absolutely stunningly beautiful on top of these hills around here, on top of these mountains. Because just the places I've been, like down on Wolf Creek in Martin County today, it's gorgeous up in there. There's also no coal preparation plant there that used to be there, that everything was just black and dusty and dirty. But now it's green and it's pretty up in there. Where the people work, I don't know. There's that little restaurant, but there wasn't anybody in it. But it was open. But they had another sign up that says we have cabin rentals too. So they're adapting to the environment. Yeah, I mean, that's the way it works here, okay? Because people adapt. They know how to move and flow with the times and move along. There was no animosity. I know what the guy was doing when he mentioned that it was Biden administration that actually caused all of this. Well, I knew that he was directing that towards me too, but we were still smiling and having a conversation, and there was nothing more to it than that. And I never let him. I never let myself jump into a political discussion about anything there. We were just having a conversation. We were talking just like we are right now. That's what I was doing on Tipple Road with Mr. Hensley. That's what I was doing at that restaurant. I mean, on Wolf Creek. That's what we do. That's how you show people that you're not just a butthole trying to push your way on somebody else. I don't go around demanding this or that or whatever. Why should I? Why should I? It's not on me. That's on them. And I use this adage an awful lot too, by the way. I say this, and I've mentioned it several times to a lot of people. I say, first thing is, the people here are live and let live kind of people. You stay out of their business and they stay out of yours. Live and let live. They're also adherents of the golden rule here, too. You know, the one that says, love your neighbor as you love yourself, that golden rule. And they also know that if they aren't loving their neighbor and they're hating on their neighbor, that the opposite of that golden rule is also true, that they're actually hating themselves. They actually hate themselves. If they're hating somebody else because of who they are, then they also have a problem with themselves. That's the way that golden rule thing works. It actually is the way it works in the world. So let me put up a couple of photos here. Now, earlier today, I showed this one. This is my son and one of my granddaughters. This picture was taken this past May out in Killeen, Texas, or near there, at a high school where my granddaughter was graduated from high school. I think it was 23rd of May this year. She turns 18 this month. And it's hard to believe that I've got a granddaughter that's 18 years old. Oh my gosh, does it ever? I mean, it just kind of baffles me. And I still feel like I'm 20. I mean, everything that, yeah, all of my thoughts and all that, I can't explain what it's like to someone who's not there. But the way you think and see the world, you've grown a little bit over this period of time, over the 66 years that I've been around now, and you've grown some along the way. You know, you don't know it all or anything like that. You're not so haughty-toddy or whatever you want to call it to believe that you've made it. No, that is not the case at all. However, the thinking processes, the way you, the love you have for people doesn't change. But I will tell you this, that when my son and my 3 daughters, they know I love them deeply. Well, I'm going to tell you, when the grandkids showed up, the type, or not the type, but I mean the depth of the love for your grandkids is just astonishing. It's hard to put your hand around the idea that there can be something more to the love that you have for your kids. There's more to it. And you thought that was it. Oh my gosh. Grandkids come along and you learn really quickly that what you thought you knew about love for your family and your kids, that is just not enough, folks. That's not enough. My son lives in Tucson, Arizona, and he has another daughter who lives in Wisconsin. And he's an Air Force veteran. He spent 9.5 years in the Air Force. He was in the right seat of the Predator drones flying out of the little trailers out of either Nellis Air Force Base or Whiteman Air Force Base, and been in the squadron at Whiteman, and his name's on the wall, or was. I don't know if it still is, but because of his accomplishments and I mean the things that he did, and I can't tell you all of that. So, but he's a superb, smart, funny person, and I love my son. I love my granddaughter, but I told him one time, I said, hey, son, I need to tell you this, but the 2 baby mamas you got them both out of the trailer on the air base. And both of them were intelligence specialists. I said, I don't know if I need to be talking about the birds and the bees here, but somewhere along the line, they were all of the same rank when they met, just so you know. But it's like, well, son. Anyway, that's my son. And now I'm going to pull up this photo. And that is of me and my youngest daughter and my oldest daughter. That's the one on the left that lives in Kansas, in Americus, Kansas. She has 4 kids. The one in the middle is Jordan. And she has no children, but she is, oh my gosh, how old is she? She's 30 something now. Almost almost 30, 35. Oh, yeah, she's the youngest. And obviously that's me over on the right. This picture was taken, I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago. Yeah, something like that, down in Tennessee, I think it was, I believe, at a funeral for their grandmother. So that's those two. And then this is a picture that Jordan had put up. It's an AI generated image, but this is my daughter, Jordan. She was born in Texas. So this is a legit way of representing her. She was born in Texas. And I love that picture. And then let me go up here and get this one. And here we see myself again on the right. And in the back there, that's my middle daughter. And she lives down in Alabama near Tuscaloosa. And my youngest daughter, Jordan, lives in also in Alabama. And there's two grandkids down there. And that's my sister over on the other side. And this picture was taken, I'm going to figure this picture was actually taken in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Probably about 4 years ago, maybe something like that. But that's all of us hanging out together. We were all there except for my son. He couldn't come in that time. So this is the family. This is what it's all about, folks. And that's another picture that's my grandson over on my grandson from down in Alabama. He's about to turn 18 now. He'll be 18 in February, this coming February. And Jordan again and myself. And we're just out having fun. But he doesn't look like that anymore. my grandson. I'll tell you a story about my grandson. And I thought this was really cute. Back when he was about that, I guess it was probably a year or two after I went actually public with everything about who I am. I was visiting with them down in Tuscaloosa, and I overheard a conversation that he was having with his mother, my daughter, not Jordan, but Kara, the middle daughter. And he was talking about something he had to do at school, and he was saying that he had talked to me about it. And he said, I was talking to Granddad the other day about all this stuff, and she was saying this, and she said this about it too. And and my grandson was going, that's what she said. Talking to my daughter about what I had said, but he goes, Granddad said this, or Grandpa said that, but that's what she said. Actually, I got stuck on the she because they get it. The kids understand. They aren't this monolithic thing that you are so worried about all the time. These kids are resilient. They're strong. They understand. All of my grandkids do. There's 8 of them. They get it. They know this. My kids, my ex, Patty, who lives in Kansas, by the way. And I mean, these are some wonderful human beings, folks. Wonderful human beings. It is such an honor and a very humbling, actually, to have a family that's this supportive of the fact that I just want to live and let live. I don't make a big deal out of it. I probably did early on, but I've grown a little bit, I think. Got a long way to go. But, and then whenever I had all my procedures done, I'm telling you all these little stories. When I had all of my procedures done, I don't mind talking about all this stuff. I understand it. I know that superficially my genes are XY. Yes, I know that. Those are male genes, but I also know that that's not the whole picture. There's a lot more to science and biology than just a simple binary description of things. That's like 1950s stuff. We know more now, a lot more. It's not nowhere near that. It's much more variable than you would think. And that's the science. And that's anyway. So I just love having these conversations. But after I had all my procedures and things, and that's what I was going to say before I get out of here in this next minute or two, when I had my procedures and all of them, top, bottom, the whole shebang, okay, I was telling people that I needed to take the Ferrari out for a test drive. Now, if this is too much for your little ears, just back off now, run away. But so I started dating people, men on this app. But the thing is, my daughters, all three of them, and my ex-wife, they were telling me, now that guy right there, you better stay away from that one. That one is trouble. The shoe got turned around on that one. That was a time when that was the exact opposite. But I always appreciate the advice from my kids and my daughters and my ex. We're good friends, and I love all of them, as a matter of fact. And that has never changed. That's always been true. But they're just amazing people, and I appreciate the advice while I'm going through all of these things and trying to get where I want to be and doing everything about that. I'm not out here. I do not suggest in any way whatsoever that if an XY male with male characteristics, because there are variables in there that don't always make it that way. You can have XY genes and have a XX body. Yes, you can. Or you can have an XX genetic composition, and then your exterior body, the external body of yours, will be XY. Happens a lot. It happens a lot more frequently than most people realize or even contemplate. And that's just the reality of things. That's just the way it is. That's just nature and science and biology. And then there are things outside of the genes even that have impact on it, like the epigenetic things that are heritable, but you don't find them on the DNA strand. They're things that actually will move genes around on there, and the proteins that they create when they're called upon to create something, the epigenetic factors can do all kinds of stuff there. So there's no such thing as a strict binary in any of this, no matter how many people want to tell you otherwise. And I'm going to just go on to another offshoot from that thought, actually. Whenever they say that whenever this administration, Trump administration, says that they want to define who we are, who humans are, based on biology and the science, and they claim that the science is the important part, well, what they mean is the science of 1950s. Because today's science, if they put a description in there of what it means to be male or what it means to be female, biologically, genetically, culturally, all these factors, well, you would have to write a book on it. It's not binary. It's not. But anyway, I'm not going to stay here much longer. Let me see if there's anything else I need to talk about. I know there's some comments down here too. Hey, Janie. Yeah, let me go up here. Same. Let me see what Janie says. I always say I love my kids, but yes, the grandkid is a whole new level of, yeah, you're absolutely right, Janie. I mean, it's just surprising. Janie is my first cousin from up in Ohio. And it's hard to explain, really. I mean, if you're not there, if you don't have grandkids, or if you don't have adopted kids that are your kids or anything like that, it's hard to explain how much more there is to love than what you do for your kids. And it will just knock your socks off, folks. It really will. Let me see. What else did she say? Janie says, I do love that you're so open with answering questions. I know anytime I had a question, you answered it. So yeah, if you have a question, just ask Cassie. She will explain it to you. Right. I mean, why try to conflate everything and make it crazy? Why do things that are just, are going to just piss off people? For instance, and I'll say this, if you went through male puberty, you have no business competing against women in sports, in genetic women in sports. Okay. Because whether or not you personally have an advantage, on average, you will. The population of males who want to be that other gender. If you went through male puberty, your body has been changed and morphed into something that is probably abhorrent like it is to me. But I'm fine with it. I'm fine. I know who I am, and I'm not afraid of that. It doesn't challenge my identity whatsoever. I don't care if people want to use sir with me or ma'am or whatever. That's fine. That's on them. I don't care. I'm not responsible for them. I will say this, though. I mean, if Robert came over to you one day and he goes, you know, would you mind calling me Bob or Bobby, because that was my dad's name, Robert, and I've got so much respect for him, and I don't think I live up to that. So would you mind just calling me Bobby? And then here's your response back, and you tell me if this looks or sounds right to you. And you look him dead in the eye and you say, well, I can't do that because that's not what's on your original birth certificate. I'll just have to call you Bobby because I can't do what you asked me to do, because I can't participate in that lie that you have for yourself of calling yourself Bobby when in fact your name is Robert. Or vice versa, if Sue comes to you and she says, just call me Sue, even though my name is Susan, that's why it's on my birth certificate is Susan, and you refuse and you say, I can't, because your real name is Susan. Yeah, I mean, you're just being a butthole, but that's on you still. And here's another good example that you need to be thinking about. This is our Vice President, J.D. Vance. That's the name he wants you to call him. And that's what everybody knows him as these days, is J.D. Vance. But are you being immoral and unethical by calling him that? Because on his original birth certificate, it said James David Bowman. So ask yourself that. Yeah, yeah. I understand that one, Janie. I understand that completely. I need to put overlay up here. That'd make it easier for everybody to see. There we go. Now everybody can read them. But anyway, so J.D. Vance, our vice president, who wants you to call him J.D. Vance or Vice President Vance, is fine. That's what I will do. I'll call him that. Now, sometimes, though, when people ask me about calling me different things or whatever, I'll say, well, look, do you respect the vice president? They go, sure, absolutely. Love the man. Well, his original birth certificate is Bowman. Why are you being unethical? Yeah. That shakes people up a lot. Anyway, I could go on. I've talked for 37 minutes and I hadn't planned on that. I wanted to do a quick in and out because I've got these ribs on the stove in there that Mom and Gideon and Irma are eating right now. These ribs with barbecue sauce on them, and they've been baking. They baked for about 4 hours, really. And so I fixed some a can of it's a tomato, okra, and corn kind of a vegetable medley in tomato sauce. And so I fixed that and warmed it up. I heated it up, really, because it came out of the can. I heated it up and served that as a little side to those ribs. And oh my God, the meat itself was absolutely fantastic whenever I took that little tiny bite just at the top of the hour. Anyway, everyone, we should just all respect one another. Absolutely. Absolutely. Live and let live. Live and let live. That's the key to all of this stuff. And then the other part of it is, if you really believe that the golden rule should be applicable in our lives, when it says love your neighbor as yourself, and you can't because you don't agree with who they are, whose problem is that? Well, the opposite of that corollary is true too. That if you can't love your neighbor, then you obviously don't love yourself. Yep. Anyway, with that, have a great evening, everyone. I'll talk to you later. Come back tomorrow.